Harnessing Fusion 360's generative workspace might sound like a challenge. After all, its ability to connect design, simulation, and manufacturing into one is like nothing before. But it starts simply, with framing the problem. Using the Edit Model workspace, designers can simplify geometry, remove unnecessary parts, and create new bodies specific to the generative setup, such as fasteners and tool clearances. From there, the remaining geometry will be designated as either preserve or obstacle regions. Then, load cases representing the real-world loading conditions and materials are defined, and used to weigh the results against an objective to lightweight or create the stiffest part possible. From there, the manufacturing constraints are defined. Will you use a 5-axis, a 3-axis, or additive manufacturing process, or other? These definitions will account for how you take that digital model into a tangible asset. With that, Fusion 360 is armed with all the information needed to generate hundreds of optimized solutions. Blink and you'll miss these simple steps. All this and more in Fusion 360. In product development, a balance must be struck between robust design and speed to market. Too slow, and the market share can be lost to a competitor. And if a product is over-engineered or fails, well, you have bigger problems. But is that still the case? With generative synthesis in Fusion 360, a single designer can create hundreds of optimized solutions that have been created not only with the material and performance requirements in mind, but also the manufacturing process that will be put in place to turn stock into final product. The hardest part for the designer will be to filter through all the potential cloud-generated outcomes. Explore the results with different visualizations, filters, plots, and compare each outcome based on the properties that are most pertinent to you. Then export the design that best fits your requirements. All this and more in Fusion 360. When seasoned designers see a model like this, a cloud of doubt forms. Questions will arise regarding their manufacturability and downstream capabilities, which calls into doubt the value that can be derived from it. But that's not the case with this model, or any others made with generative design in Fusion 360. These are editable, watertight solid bodies with a design history. This opens up fine-tuning with our powerful T-splines editing capability, additional simulation checks, toolpath creation, and don't forget those drawings. Alleviate those clouds of doubt with solid body exports from generative design in Fusion 360. All this and more in Fusion 360. Solving generative design studies can be a daunting, time-consuming task. Thankfully, this is yet another area where designers can take advantage of Fusion 360's cloud connection by offloading these complex calculations with cloud solving. This enables anybody and everybody access to top-quality generative solutions, no matter what your hardware budget might be. And without the burden of the local solve, you're free to continue to work on other tasks, generative setups, and more. Should you set up other studies, go ahead and send those off to the cloud at will. You can simultaneously solve those generative studies. With cloud solving, you'll find ample time to innovate, optimize, and consolidate designs with the power of generative design. All this and more in Fusion 360. If you've ever looked at your generative results and thought, that's great and all, but what's it going to cost to produce? We have just the thing. Integrated cost insights for generative design, powered by a priori, will, for the first time ever, allow you to view manufacturing cost estimates for every design in your generative study. Armed with this data, you can confidently compare cost versus performance using materials, mass, and manufacturing options in the calculations. Answer questions like, does the performance improvements of additive outweigh the additional cost? Or, do traditional manufacturing techniques make more sense? Whatever direction you take your design, you can rest assured that with generative design and a priori, the industry leader in manufacturing simulation and cost insights, you've explored the entire range of options. All this and more in Fusion 360.